Hello, welcome to Mental Health Moment. I am Keshma with Roots Counseling Center. Today we're going to talk about resiliency promoting parenting for trauma impacted children. In this, we'll be talking about considerations, tips, and strategies for supporting resiliency development for children who have endured trauma. Now, this does not replace counseling. These are simply tips and considerations. In fact, Roots Counseling Center have counselors like myself who are trained and experienced in providing support for children and parents who have been impacted by trauma. The first thing I want you to consider is self. In the self and consideration of self, we want to consider our reactions as parents. We want to recognize our own trauma reactions, our own triggers, and how those impact our parenting, how those reactions and trigger our sense of tolerance for the reactions that we're getting from our trauma impacted children. We also want to consider our supports, whether it be formal, such as counseling and mental health services, or informal, like a parenting group or a friend who provide that ongoing outlet for you. You want to surround yourself with people who are supportive for you. You also want to consider your resiliency development, the idea of intentionally engaging in self wellness and modeling that for your child. Another thing we want to consider is balancing our responses. Now, let's face it, providing care for a trauma impacted child is challenging. They may engage in survival behaviors that is very much driven by the impact and the trauma that they've endured. On the other hand, it is challenging to deal with. In balancing our responses, we're saying that I'm understanding the change process is hard. I am understanding the triggers. I am understanding the driving forces behind your behavior. I'm also balancing that with a sense of expectation for change, learning new adaptive ways to react to your triggers, learning new adaptive ways towards communicating needs. Another thing we want to consider is discipline is for learning. One of the greatest quotes I've ever heard in the world of parenthood is from an older woman right here in Chattanooga. She stated, I discipline to raise kind humans who see themselves as worthy of love. In discipline, we're basically helping our child be aware of those old muscles of reaction that sometimes don't work or increase the odds of dangers to themselves and others, and learn new muscles, right? New adaptive muscles as to ways to communicate, get your needs met, and express what is happening internally. Think of discipline as an opportunity. In reacting to that old muscle behavior, think about what do I need this child to learn to be adaptive, to feel worthy of love, and feel like they have it within them to learn new adaptive behavior and engage in a reaction that can help teach that. Another thing we want to consider is allowing room for our child to explore their stories. Now, in this, we want to consider things such as safety of the child. Does the child feel psychologically safe to explore and share their stories? We want to consider boundaries. The child learning when and where to share their stories, and of course, confidentiality. In the agents of sharing story, that story can be explored and shared within a safe place with a counselor or therapist. It can be done through day to day conversations in the car, after school, or to a baseball game or sports activity. There is also other means such as journaling or the development of a life book. And of course, allowing room for the child to form new connections, hence giving them the opportunity towards exploring and sharing their story. Guys, this is the end of my tips. It's been great. I do want to honor the courage and vulnerability that comes with being a parent, as well as parenting our children who have been impacted by trauma. Thank you so much for your time.